All right, so here it is mocked up. I just kind of put one bolt in it right there. It's a little long. I'd prefer to have an Allen, but it is what it is right now. I'll use these for the time being and maybe order some Allens later. It's a little too long, but that's fine. I have it sitting just up, basically just on this, and I'll be able to level it using bolts and drill another one there. And you can see my 90 coupler now just kind of can fit right through there. I'm gonna have to trim it out a little bit or lower that coupler just a little bit. On this side, I cut it. I need to push it on there a little bit. It'll fit up in there somehow. We'll have to rig something up in there and some kind of more pie cutting probably. All right, so here's the OG bumper. You can see how I cut all of it out for the other intercooler. I already have a ton of space in between it now in this new one. And if you remember this, if you look at a stock CRX SI bumper or whatever, this comes out a lot further and whatnot. So it's kind of hard to get a look, but it was kind of dumb with that being cut out. So with the other new bumper I have now, I might even be able just to run the grill on it. And even if I can, I still want to show off. I really do like the Go-Autoworks from Greg. He's been great. And I love everything about his kit. So I mean, I like to show the logo off if I can. So I might be able just to leave it there, maybe just kind of cut just a little bit out of it. I don't know, we'll see. All right, it's all cut out and ground out on both sides. Sprayed it with some of this touch-up. It's pretty close color. And I kind of just put some rubber trim just around it just to kind of protect it from any sharp edges. So here's the bolts now that are screwed in there. And the T-bar is not going to be able to go here anymore because the intercooler is going to sit on this. So if we look, I'll hold the intercooler up just the point where it's sitting on the edge there. I'm going to need to cut right about there on the T-bar. So if I cut the T-bar there, maybe bend this a little bit forward, have it attached to a strap that's over here. I'm going to just put it across. I grab some of this from Home Depot. Thinking about just basically connecting a bar here. Bolts will come through the two holes. Then in the center, I'll put another hole here where that can attach to this. All right, just kind of going to butt this up against the end here. Follow it to the end here. And I think what I'm going to do is here, I could just put a 90 coupler. Like, I could just throw a 90, I think, down here. And literally just a straight. If that makes any sense. But that would mean basically one coupler, two couplers, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. So I can get rid of two couplers if I just weld a 90 to that. So 245 left. I've got 190 left. So if I can just kind of cut this to where it needs to be, again here, give or take on both sides, weld it to that pipe, and that can just go straight into that coupler. That would be a little bit snazzier. So let's try that out. All right, so less is more right now, but I'm just going to cut off. I'm going to cut off 2.5 inches on this side where we stand. All right. So there's one cut. I'm gonna do the same thing for this side. All right, so I just put the 90 that I just kind of cut off there. And this is the pipe that I gotta be mating. You can kind of see how tall that is. Now, it's quite a bit. I can either cut, I guess, it'd be stupid to cut right here and try to match it up there. I might as well cut down here where it's a nice straight-ish area. No.
Just a little piece of that?
That's what I'm saying. All right, so intercooler's mounted up now. This little bracket that I built, I'm just waiting on it, but I'm gonna put some nuts on these. I ordered all threaded screws here, so I can put a nut in here, basically tighten to keep that down just on both sides. These little tiny little gussets that I put in there, that way it just kind of, when you go to push down on the hood and the latch pushes down, as you can see, I attached this here. It'll kind of just put an even pressure, and we know the intercooler is sitting on the bottom of the frame. So that should hold the hood T-bar basically nice and tight there. So for the moment now, I ordered these off Summit. It's like a little short radius 90 coupler. And here's one that came with the kit. So you can see I put a vibrant filter in there. I basically got to connect this over to that pipe now. That's probably gonna be the harder one. So got a 180. I'm thinking if I basically cut it about here, and here I'll be able to almost replicate a 180 coming out of this down, and then I maybe have to do some pie cuts to get it to reach into that filter. So let me cut this a little bit and we'll see where we end up. Alright, so I'm just going to cut a bunch of pie cuts to kind of get ahead of the game. So here's just a straight pipe. If you didn't watch the last video, basically just draw a straight line, flip it over 180 degrees and draw another straight line. I'm going to place the pipe in, and I move my saw to 9 degrees. You can do it a couple methods, different ways, but I'm doing mine at 9 degrees. So for the first cut, I'm going to get just to kind of trim up, just trim up the piping there to get a little bit of this angle on it. And you're going to place the Sharpie mark, whatever one you want to choose first, up at 12 o'clock. Pull it out a little bit further. Alright, so there's my first angle. I'm going to flip it over 180 degrees. And the tighter you want this radius, essentially, the less you're going to want sticking out. So what I mean by that is, if you look straight on top of it, you can see how big this is going to be. There's nothing there between the saw and this edge here. So what I'm going to be doing is grab my handy little tape measure, and I'm basically going to bring it out to 1 inch from the center of my line there. So from the saw blade to the end of this pipe here on the line is 1 inch. And then essentially now, here you go. So if you needed to be a sharper radius or anything, basically just change my 1 inch value that I used and just shrink it in. So if you see, here's a couple other pieces. These are probably a little bit thinner. So I'm just gonna cut a bunch of these now, different various sizes, and this is gonna help me be able to make my pie cuts. I've already deburred the inside, cleaned the outside, wiped it all down with acetone. I'm just gonna simply just put some tacks on these. Because I did that, the bottom then kind of opened up. Gently put some pressure, squeeze the gap. Alright, so here's what's awesome about pie cuts. So I just tacked all these together, and then I put some of this tape on it. So if you can look at it real closely here, if you look at how the angle starts up there, and as it transitions, it's kind of coming, it's got a slight angle. What's great about these pieces is you can literally, when one's sitting here, instead of just you'd put them right on top of each other to make 90, but I can put this on here and I can rotate this thing and redirect my piece of pipe any angle. So basically what I'm doing here, see if you can see this. Basically that's sitting on there at this angle, give or take a little bit. And then you can see I can just swivel this around depending how I weld it to the actual pipe up there. But this should still work and it'll come straight through here. I don't have to get a piece of straight at the end. So what I'm gonna do now is, this in theory should work. So it'll be easier to weld this piece up while it's not attached to a bunch of other stuff. So I'm now going to tack this pipe to it. And then I'm just gonna lay some beads on here, and we're gonna go ahead. All right, so there it is. She's kind of sitting in there right now. Looks like I've got good room between the actual exhaust manifold, the oil line. It's snug up right against almost the side of the filter. I've got some green tape back there, just to kind of help it be clocked. And the coupler looks like it's going right at it. Now the coupler, I don't know if it can come through. It looks like it's just gonna touch the side of the vibrant filter. So I might be able to pull this off just a little bit to get a little bit extra squeeze, but I'm also running into the frame there. But honestly, I think the pipe will get in there and it'll just kind of rub against the outside of the filter, keeping the filter on the car. Not the plan, but we're working with some tight room there. So this still has a 9-degree cut on it. This is what I made a bunch of pie cuts out of yesterday. And basically if I clock this, if you kept following the same angle, it'll do a 90. If I do it 180 degrees off, it'll basically make it a straight. So I think what I'm going to do is clock this on there. I'm going to have to tack it so I can actually put it on this coupler here. Because that's kind of the hard part is, with the tape, I can't really force stuff in the coupler. So let me take this assembly off. I'm going to tape that on there, and we're going to work a little backwards. All right, so again, this has got the same 9-degree cut as the pie cuts. So if you look at it, when I put it on the face there, if you watch as I rotate it around, if I do it right here, it's shooting towards the sky, not what we want. If I rotate it 180 degrees off, it looks like it's kind of coming down now, almost in line with it. This little green tape here, I was watching the Justin on the Fabrication series, got a ton of cool stuff on automotive stuff, or fabrication wise. So if you notice, I just tacked that there, but the tape didn't even peel back. It's got a really good actual like heat resistance and whatnot, and it's actually pretty sticky. I got a whole rollover that I've been using it, so essentially now, razor blade here. Pull that back, and I'm just going to tack that, and then I will remove all the tape. All right, just put some reflective heat tape down the side of the radiator there, just that way, just kind of helps that out. I'm putting this piece of, this is like toolbox foam. I kind of use it a lot for things, but in this case, I'm just going to lay it down right here, as I know the intercooler is probably going to sit just about on this, so it should stop any rattling or anything along those lines. So here it is mounted up. You can see I made this little black, the bracket that I already made, I just basically painted it. I put a nut on the bottom here so I can cinch this down to it, which helps put these little brackets, make sure they're touching the top of the intercooler there. Same thing over there. And I also screwed a nut up under the back side of it to just kind of anchor the whole thing together. And the hood latch, I drilled and tapped this. I know it's not very thick, it's only 1/8 inch. And then I added a nut underneath just for some safety precautions. This side turned out, I think, so good. It is, I doubt you can see it, but it's not even touching the filter. It's flying right next to it. I have to go back to the coolant reservoir like the OEM one. I kind of just put that there for the time being. Probably just gonna have to figure out how to put this hose. Might just zip tie it up against the cable latch, and we'll go from there. Man, all right, so it looks so naked without the lip on there, but look at that intercooler. It fits, in case anybody's curious, it fits straight up on a stock SI bumper. And I even have a little bit of room to go in there. And if someone's gonna say it, no, the bumper's not gonna stay black. I just wanna do all the trimming and whatnot while it's still unpainted. All right, so it's all together, took it for its first drive, and here's what it looks like. So pipes in there. I didn't show the blow-off valve portion. It's not very difficult. Just drill it with a 1 3/4 inch hole saw for the actual wastegate, and you should be good to go, and it will, just like the rest of the pipe there. As you can see, I just kind of connected it down there. Everything fits good. I still use my 60-degree angle that I have over there. I've actually got more room now over by the proportioning valve. And excuse me for the fog lights that are there that you might see. That's a different video coming later, but I cut out, as I said, I cut those out, but kind of left some of the bars there, and I think it looks good. The only thing I do need to change, it's going to drive my OCD a little bit. I've got a Mishimoto actual coupler on that one and not that one. I'd rather just have it all black or Mishimoto, whatever the case is. But it looks good that way if you ask me. Bumper's going to be painted. Again, another video. This is my last iteration of a bumper. And there's the fog lights as a peek for the next following video. So overall, the intercooler fits great. The only things I can't do with it, if you looked at my old turbo kit video when I installed it, I had some room down in here to actually make like a little block off plate. I don't anymore because you can see how close the actual intercooler sits now next to the radiator. So as close as it is, what I'm hoping is, as most of the air just passes through the intercooler now, it will just go right into the radiator. It's so close to it, there's not really no room for it to kind of go wherever it wants. So we're gonna do some test driving during the week. Again, the car didn't overheat before, so I'm sure it won't overheat now. The bumper is a little less open, but I'm sure it'll be fine. I had to cut the front open. I just had to display Greg's work. He's been great. His work is great. As many people that I answer on Instagram about the turbo kits, if you do watch these videos and you haven't asked me on there, the kits they're great. Greg does great work. It is what it is, self-explanatory. I'm actually gonna keep this bumper. Even though if you saw earlier how it looks a little ridiculous with as open as it was, and now the pipes aren't gonna come through here anymore, I'm still gonna keep it because one of our local drift tracks has been talking about, I guess for a little bit, talking about making it into like it's not really an autocross or a road track. It's bigger than an autocross track and it's much smaller than a road course. But that bumper will allow a ton of airflow into this now because the intercooler, I'll have to put the dimensions up. I don't want to speak. I'll put the dimensions in the description of what the size is. It is smaller. And with that, there will be actually direct flow right to the radiator. I say that by putting that bumper on there. So the idea is to use that as like my autocross bumper, we'll call it, my race bumper. All right, so last thing is I'll ask you guys, I'm probably not gonna do this for a little bit, but it's just I'm contemplating it. So for those of you that watched, I did Cerakote the manifold and all those pieces, and it's holding up real cool. I kind of still like that color. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do the pipes yet. This pipe I didn't touch at all, I just kind of left it the way it is. This one I did scuff all with red Scotch Brite and kind of give it a dull look, and then I started just kind of polishing a little bit to see if I liked it. That being said, I've debated, if you look at Cerakote's color choices, there's got a ton. I was almost thinking like an off gray, or I could just do a black, which would go with the engine bay, or just leave it aluminum just to kind of pop, the shiny color. Because there are some pieces in here that are that color. I mean, the Hossport mounts, the Endine tensioner, and just stuff like that. So, just something else I might be doing in the future. So, I'm just going to fill you guys in real quick of other things that I do have for the car in case you're just new watching this and I haven't updated. So fog lights are installed. That video will come soon. I already recorded most of it. Just got to compile it like I'm doing this. So that being said, I'm just going to show you guys some things that I do have. I've got Hush's EF Tux kit. And I think in the same box, I've got a 15/16 master cylinder. Those are going to go in the car when I find brake calipers that I know will fit underneath my 13-inch Lenzos and my Cozies / Slipstreams, which will probably fit both. I've been looking at some Fast Brakes kits. I've talked to Brian. I asked the other Brian at Hossport when Brian from Fast Brakes was on there. I'm figuring that out. That will come. I still have not done it yet, but in this box is a Quaife quick ratio gear for my new rack that's underneath it. Along with that, I was watching Garage Built Hondas. If you haven't watched them or him, then I think his name's John. You're missing out. Great channel. But I've watched him build two different splitters. So I bought these, which are basically the same things. And I noticed in his last video, I think he said that they're steel and they were kind of heavy. So it gave me an idea, as weird as that may be. I bought these and I'm intend on putting them on the front of the car, as all splitters would be. But I'm not trying to build a splitter out of wood or anything. I think what I'm going to try to do is attach those kind of the way he did, and then grab like an 1/8 inch piece of steel and basically make a weight plate / splitter that's removable real quick. And the weight plate, more or less, if I can just kind of cruise around with it, if I can throw, I don't know, an extra 50 to 85 pounds in the front, just maybe some better traction, and so be it. And if I need to, I can just remove it, as you remove a splitter. And I will probably just get where it needs to be, bolt to it, and I'll just weld that mount to the actual plate. Just an idea that he kind of gave me. He didn't mention the steel, but just watching that kind of gave me the idea of that. So that'll probably come up. Calipers, Hush stuff, all that's, I got things I need to do. I just need to get around to doing them. But before I even touch that, I'll be honest. Fog lights are coming, and I'm going to paint this bumper. Some of you guys might like the black bumper. It does have its place. It's kind of cool, but I'm going to color match. I'm going to paint it. And I've gotten a little bit better at painting, so I'm going to paint it, and it's going to be that. That being said, I'm also debating if the fog lights are going to be clear or yellow. I'm either going to spray them yellow or tint them yellow, whatever the case is. I don't know. I'm going to wait to do that until the bumper's painted. Enough of me rambling. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate everyone for watching. Cannot believe I hit 1,000 subscribers still. So for anybody that is new, old, I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope more of you just continue to keep enjoying the build. Hopefully soon I'll be able to get to the drag strip again and maybe even that little road course. I'm just waiting on current events to slow down here for things. So again, I appreciate everyone, and tune in next time.